Welcome back to Clarke's Ring Rant. Let's get straight into today's video. Just wanted to say apologies in advance if you hear me sniffling on this video. Seems like I've caught a bit of man flu. So, in a recent interview with First Round TV, Darren Barker and Sonny from Proper Boxing, Johnny Fisher did confirm that there have been talks behind the scenes for a potential British heavyweight title fight between himself and the champion, Jeamie Tkv. Now, nothing's been finalised or confirmed yet, and Johnny Fisher seemed to allude to the fact that there might be a few stumbling blocks in the way of making this fight happen. So, just to paraphrase Johnny Fisher, he basically said they had a date in mind for the fight to be on Matchroom, and this date was likely to clash with a potential date that Boxer have for one of their upcoming BBC shows. Now, they were talking about March time for the fight, which I suppose would make sense. TKV beat Frazer Clarke in late November, and Johnny Fisher, I think just the week before, had that fight where he come through a bit of a scare against that unheralded opponent. He was dropped, but it was not ruled a knockdown. I mean, let's be honest, Fisher was down in that fight, but he rallied, he came through a bit of an early crisis, and he was able to stop his opponent. His opponent was no great shakes, but yeah, worrying signs. He had some trouble in there. And on the other hand, Jeamie Tkv probably exceeded my expectations a little bit against Frazer Clarke. He won, and he won the fight convincingly, and he had Ben Shalom in hysterics after, claiming him to be the greatest inside fighter he'd ever seen. Well, it's a bit debatable, isn't it, Ben? But anyway, so what do we think about this fight? Fisher versus TKV. Now, if the fight was made tomorrow and you had to give me a prediction, I would make TKV a heavy, heavy favourite in that fight. I think he'd be able to outbox Fisher. I think he'd be able to outwork him, outhustle him, and I think he'd be able to win a decision, sort of in a similar way in which he beat Frazer Clarke. Now, Johnny Fisher's tough, he's brave, he's fit, he's strong, but I think TKV would be too skilled for him. Now, even if we reflect back on TKV's fight with Adelaide, I know he was knocked out, but that was dubious to say the least as well. He was hit on the break, and I think that should have been ruled a no contest. And don't forget, up until that point, TKV was boxing Adelaide's ears off in that fight. He was outboxing him quite comfortably. And then in the Frazer Clarke fight, he won that as well. So he's in some good form at the minute, TKV. He's a skilled fighter. He's not the most aesthetically pleasing looking heavyweight. He doesn't look like Anthony Joshua or anything, but there's some skill there, and he's more than capable of beating Johnny Fisher, in my opinion. Now, Johnny Fisher's someone I think you really do have to give credit to. He doesn't have to do boxing. He would be famous, he would have money in his own right. His dad is an international superstar. I think he's down here in Australia at the minute doing some sort of tour. There'd be all sorts of other avenues for Johnny Fisher. I'm sure he could cross over to Misfits if he wanted to, but he really, really is serious about this boxing thing, and he wants to give it a go, and he trains and he puts the work in. And I don't understand how people can hate on that. Yes, he may not be as gifted as some other heavyweights, but he didn't start boxing till I think he was in university. He's a rugby player. That's his sport by trade. And yeah, he's done good things in boxing when you give how little experience he's had. He's been thrown in at the deep end. Yes, he did come unstuck against Dave Allen in a fight he was supposed to win, but retrospectively looking back, that was probably always going to be a bridge too far for him. But there are some fights I guess he can be competitive in at British level. They've just got to match him carefully, and I think they need to nurture him back, give him some learning fights. The thing is, he's been on high-profile cards. He was on the Usyk Fury rematch. He was on the undercard of that, and then he headlined against Dave Allen. Before that, I'm pretty sure he headlined against Babbage as well. What Johnny Fisher needs is just some fights, maybe on the small hall circuit. I know that's going to be difficult because he's such a big ticket seller and he brings the Romford Bull Bosch Army, whatever they're called, with him. But he could just do with some fights where they're just low profile, they're just in a leisure centre or wherever, and he's just learning his trade, because he really is just winging it at the minute. And he was exposed in the Dave Allen fight. Dave Allen old manned him, and he should have got the win in both fights, really. But Johnny Fisher does say that there are talks there for the British title. I think this might be a bit too soon for him. Personally, if he is going to do this, I'd like to see him, like I just said previously, just go away, have a few learning fights and get ready for it, because I guess he wouldn't be the worst fighter ever to win a British title. I mean, Curtis Woodhouse won a British title and he only turned to boxing in his late 20s. So it's doable for Fisher, but he needs to be managed and pushed in the right way. What Eddie Hearn can't be doing with him now, if he's got Fisher's best interests at heart, is just cashing him out and throwing him in the biggest fights possible, because there's something there. He's a ticket seller. And yeah, I believe there is a scenario maybe where he could win a British title, but just not right now. Just pump the brakes on it. I don't think the timing's right. But Johnny Fisher seems keen on the fight, and if he wants it, if it's there to be made, if TKV wants it, if his team, Tony Sims, they're all happy to make the fight, I don't see why it can't happen. So yeah, we've just got a bit of breaking news. There have been initial talks between both parties to make a potential fight between Jeamie Tkv and Johnny Fisher for the British title. Maybe get it on at the Copper Bosch, sell it out. It'd be a good atmosphere, I'll tell you that. But what do you think? Let me know. Who would win this fight? Jeamie Tkv too skilled for him, or has Johnny Fisher got a chance to overwhelm him, overpower him, and pick up that British title? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.